it's time to talk about play skills. When our children are on the autism spectrum, a lot of times play skills get put on a back burner, and that's I think, a disservice to our kids. We want to teach our child play skills because it helps with everything else. It helps with interaction. It helps with all those social skills. It can help to reduce stress. It can help them to see that you don't always, perseverance, because you don't always succeed in everything. When we play, we learn how to fail and persevere instead of perseveration, right? So play skills, really important. And one of the things that we do in play skills are read to me books and nursery rhymes. This is our child's introduction to way pre-reading, so it's going to help with academic skills. But again, it really has to do with social interaction, and it's a perfect opportunity. A lot of times our kids are interested in things as opposed to people. And with a book, we've got a thing and a person, and we can interact and work on joint attention. So us interacting with the child and interacting with the book with the child. Really great play skills. But here are some things that we need to keep in mind. And a lot of these things hold true for all kinds of play skills. First and foremost, we have to remember to make it fun. There is an assumption in us that play is fun, but you know what? For our kids, not so much. They aren't reinforced by it a lot of times. And the book, you know, it may be something that is of no interest to them whatsoever. So we have to make it fun. We have to pair it with things that are fun and make it exciting and one of the most pleasurable times of the day for them. And that may mean bringing in external reinforcement for a period of time and then fading it out. I've shared before that with my son, he was a very busy boy. I couldn't get him to sit down and do anything. But I don't know how we came upon this, but we discovered that at bedtime when we wanted to sit and read with him, that the way we could get him to be still and that he found it reinforcing was to hand him a cold apple. And then he had something to hold in his hands, and he would kind of gnaw at it, but he never really got a big bite taken out of it ever. But there was something about the cold in his hands that was very reinforcing to him. It was very individual to him. I'm not suggesting that you guys all try that with your child, but figure out what will get your child to sit with you. Is there something that they can hold on to, whether it's a blankie or a toy? Make it fun and reinforcing for them. Make it interactive. We're going to see some clips of some people reading with books, and you'll see there's a lot of pointing and touching and talking and asking questions and make eye contact with the child. Here we see a mom sitting there with her child on her lap, and there's flaps to be lifted up to look at, and she's pointing at them and encouraging the daughter to touch the book. There's all those Pat the Bunny books. My son had, it's a Usborne book that was, That's Not My Dinosaur was the title of it. And each dinosaur on the page, because he liked dinosaurs and we want to, as much as possible, make it as reinforcing as possible, each dinosaur had a different texture. And so there was a little mouse that had a scuba mask that would pop up over the top of the dinosaur, and he would say, "That's not my dinosaur, its spines are too rough." And we would touch the spines of the dinosaur and they would be rough. And then we would turn the page, "That's not my dinosaur, his spines are too smooth," and we would touch those. Did my son understand what rough and smooth were at that time? No. And was I trying to get him to understand what rough and smooth were? No. I mean, if he does, as as something that goes hand in hand, great. But in the meantime, I'm interacting with him, and we would laugh, and we would look and say, "Where is the mouse?" And in the Usborne books, they always have a duck on each page. And so I would say, "Where's the duck?" And we would look and find the duck, and I would say, "Point to the duck," and I would have to prompt him to point to the duck, but he would. And I would go, "Yay, it's the duck," and tickle him. So we're reinforcing it. We want to prompt that interaction by saying, point. One of my favorite books, I should have brought it with me today. We're going on a bear hunt. because there are all these interactive things that you can do while you're doing the book. They talk about these different places that they have to go. They have to go through a field, and it's squishy, squishy, squishy. And so we would rock and make a squish noise. And he thought it was fabulous fun when we were doing this. And I would point and say, where's the baby? Because there's a baby on every page, and he would find the baby. And I'd say, where's the dog? And he'd find the dog, making it as interactive as possible and reinforcing that interaction. And so here we see another this is a therapist sitting with a child and reading. And I want you to notice that it's our next tip to make sure that the child has access to the book. Do you see how they're putting the children in front of them? So they're giving them the same point of view that they have, but you see them turning the child so that they can talk with them and interact and point to the book. But it's really important that we use books that the children can touch. I love iPads, and I love this digital age where everything is in a format and that we can swipe and we can turn, and there's not piles of things. It's fabulous, but there's something about a book, and making the tactile feel of books be exciting to children, and especially early reading books that have they have thick pages and things that you can touch. This is a therapist, Peter Farrig, showing a child and allowing the child to pick which book that they want to read. So we can make that a part of the ritual. Which book do you want to read? Here are the 3 choices. Which one do you want to read? Builds that interaction. And of course, we want to reinforce, reinforce, reinforce. Whatever it takes for it to be reinforcing to you and to your child, it is such a worthwhile experience, because it's going to help your child to attend in school. It's going to help your child as they move into being a pre-reader and being a reader to enjoy a book. Look, it's a lifelong love if you can get your child to love a book. In my family, we call it eating a book. And there's a point in the progression of everyone's life when they either become someone who loves a book or isn't as interested in reading. I had an opportunity to talk to a friend from college recently that I remember on the first day of college. I showed up and I was a roommate with this person for a while. I showed up and I had my book underneath my arm because I was reading a book, and it was The Last Convertible. That was what I was reading as I went off to college. Great book, by the way. And I came in and I was unpacking my stuff and had 2 roommates, and the one said, "What's that? Have you already started classes early?" And I said, No, this is a great book I'm reading." And she looked at me and said, "You're reading a book and you don't have to?" And I looked at her. She looked at me like I was crazy. I looked at her like she was crazy, and I said, "Oh my goodness, you don't love books?" And she really had never read a book for leisure. And I have to say that this is a person who is a reading specialist in classrooms, helping our children to read now, and who loves books and who has books and has much more time to read than I do. But the passion that somebody can have to read books, and you know what they say, if you love to read, if you pick up a book, you can go anywhere. Absolutely anywhere. So we want to instill that with our children, but at the same time, we're working on social skills, we're working on play skills, we're working on that joint attention, we're working on perspective taking, early perspective taking, and helping our children to find something else to be passionate about. It's a wonderful, wonderful skill that we all need to focus on with our children. Read to me books, make it fun, make it interactive, let the child have access to the book, and reinforce, reinforce, reinforce. Prompt that interaction. It really makes it fun.